Yo!
Hey, what's happening?
What's up, dude?
How you doing?
Doing good.
Doing all right.
Good.
I don't know. We're going to do a formal introduction. This feels right, the way it's going right now.
Feels right?
Yeah.
Well, people are going to want to know who he is.
Joining the show now, Ethan.
Yeah?
You'll remember him as Fat Gilly. It's our buddy Jim McCarthy. What's
Hey.
up?
And the good news, I'm still fat.
No, you're not.
Who isn't except Lou, who's skin and bones? So.
What's going
I
on,
think
man?
they refer to my shape as dad bod these days. So
That's the hottest thing out.
Let me
People are
make a
loving
quick observation. You sound so much more professional in this setting than you did when you were actually here.
that's because I wasn't very professional back then.
Well, that's a good reason.
it. So tell
I
people.
was completely and utterly an amateur. So, hopefully I've gotten a little bit better over the past 20 years.
Tell people what time period you were here at I-95.
Oh, man. It's funny. I try to pin that down because I was brought in by Mr. Rich Conway, who was the production director, when I went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, and they were looking for a production intern, which entailed various things that involved production and various things that did not. And he basically brought me in. I was kind of half-hearted about it, and then I went away for a couple months, and then I said, you know what, screw it. I kind of dove headfirst into it with him and just, did my thing. I think that was 97 to 01.
I wanted to ask you, because something just sprung to mind. You said Connecticut School of Broadcasting. I went there too, and I think we had the same instructor for production with Terry something.
Yeah, he was, I don't remember his last name. Was he the TV guy?
He was bald, he was crazy, and I remember that the first thing he warned us about was salespeople, and if you become a production director, you're going to hate them. And both you and I became production directors.
And you both
were
hated
before
him,
me,
yeah.
and we both hated him.
Right. Yeah, I remember him. And it was Stephen Wayne was also a part of that shtick too, and that crowd. So I wonder what happened to him. I've actually come to empathize with salespeople over the years because I was one, and I consider myself to be one now. So
yeah, well, we grew up too, So you grow up and you don't hate.
You grew up?
You don't hate people. Nah, I don't know. I remember one time I was doing news down the hall, and we would have this teleprompter, a big fat keypad in your hand. You could scroll up and down, and I would write my report, and it was ready to go for my news report, and I'd leave the studio and go do whatever I had to do, and I'd go back in. It'd be waiting for me. Well, one day I went in, I sat down. We go live. Matt kicks it to me to do the news, and it says nothing but fart and piss all over my teleprompter. That was him.
That was
Gilly.
Gilly, huh?
that was probably some of the funniest moments of my life. I think I've ruined many pairs of pants laughing my what off.
That's awesome.
When you did that.
Tell people what you're up to now, because, or in the days since leaving I-95, because it's so many amazing accomplishments. And then I want to get to definitely the part of the podcast that you're doing, but try and catch people up.
Let's see. So in 01, got a job in Las Vegas for a group of stations out there that was with Infinity Radio at the time. Spent there for 4 years till 05. Courtney and I wanted to move back to the East Coast, quote unquote, but that involved moving to the Southeast, and I found a home in Nashville at Mix 92.9 and Jack FM, which were private. It was very reminiscent of my time at I-95, but very family feel kind of radio station. I kind of had stepping out into Infinity with a corporate feel, and then getting back into a very privately owned organization that, the owner of the business would actually sit down and talk with you. And just kind of went from there. I was there. I did production and imaging and things of that nature. Video production came into the fold at that point, and I was there till about 2013, and just kind of got out of the business.
I hear your voiceover stuff everywhere, and hearing your voice is so second nature to me that it takes a minute to register, and I'm like, wait a second, that's Gilly. You've done so much of that stuff over the years. Do you enjoy it?
Yeah. It keeps my toe in the water. So I'm still doing a lot of that, a lot of the audio production, video production to a certain extent. And, now the podcast production has certainly picked up with a multitude of clients that I produce for, as well as producing my own 2 shows. So,
do you remember, Lewis, that Gilly did the introductions for Matt's wedding?
Oh, that's right.
And Big Daddy was not happy.
And you know the funny thing is, Ethan, you've always had the most buttery, silky, smooth voice. I remember listening to you and having to go to these dirge, after school jobs. Even when I had to work in the morning, I would listen to you and Scully back in the day.
Oh yeah, wow, that's a long time ago.
That's going back. Yep.
Now tell people about the podcast, because I got a chance to listen to it recently, and I absolutely loved it. What's it called?
It's one of them is the Capes and Hammers podcast.
That's the one. That's the one I heard. Yeah.
Yeah. At the ripe old age of 44, I became a raving lunatic for Marvel movies. I don't know why. It just kind of spoke to me, and at this point in my life, I go with what gives me joy, so I went that direction. We talk about these, we unpeel these onions that are all these movies that have so many little Easter eggs. I love it. I just have so much fun with it.
Yeah, it's a really fun podcast if you're into that kind of stuff. And I'm casually into those movies, but I still really enjoyed it. I did note this. You have a feature on the podcast. I told Matt about it, and he got pissed. Errors and retractions.
Oh, yes.
Which Matt used to do on the Carrie and Coffee show. I told him about it, and he goes, wait a second, he didn't tell me.
I'll have to give him credit next time. That's fine. If we have errors and retractions.
Now, what is, from all your time here, what is the memory that always springs to mind, the thing that you love the most about your time at I-95?
The thing is, and funny you bring up Matt Carey. To those who know, he's Ethan's son. He's all the friendships, his especially, because I would consider him one of my best friends, or better friends, I guess you could say. I don't know if you could say one of my best friends. That wouldn't be grammatically right. I've been friends with him since I worked at the station. I mean, we're going on, 24 years, 25 years now?
Yeah, wow.
Crazy to think of how long. So just the good, solid friendships that have developed from these things. I mean, even in Vegas, I have, some people that I still keep in contact with, but not to the extent Matt and I have always kept in contact over the years. Good memories. I mean, I can't believe the stuff we got away with. I think Bassman, who was the program director at one point, said we were the most swearingest station he's ever worked for.
That's about right.
Right. Because we had imaging that Rich Conway would put on the air with our big voice guy at the time, who was Doug Paul, and we'd have all these movie drops. And, he'd do little productions where they put the beep in the wrong place, and they would let him air that way. I'm going, we can do this? Cool.
Well, no, but we're going to.
Gilly, man.
The FCC is going, wait a minute, pull the tapes from 1998, 99.
Gilly, man, it was great catching up with you. We're really happy that you decided to do this with us. And definitely, everybody go check out Capes and Hammers, the podcast. It's really cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Gilly.
Yeah, absolutely. Good talking to you guys.
Thanks for coming on.
You too, man.
See ya.